Hey guys, so this past October I finally got to visit Japan for the first time since COVID. One of my favorite parts about the trip was having the honor of visiting Evan Call's home studio and interviewing him about his career. Evan is an American composer living in Japan. He's probably most famous among anime fans for writing the music for a series called Violet Evergarden. He's recently gotten more mainstream fame in Japan for writing the music for the 2022 NHK historical samurai drama, The 13 Lords of the Shogun. We got to talk about Evan's early career, what he enjoys about writing for anime, and several other topics. If you enjoy this shorter edit of our conversation and want to watch more, the full unedited version of this interview will be made available to my Patreon patrons. Now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Evan Call.
Hello everybody, I'm Evan Call. I'm an American composer living and working in Japan, and Gavin came out here all the way to Japan to visit me and talk about music. Didn't immediately find work, of course. It doesn't always work out like that. I was living in a share house, which is with other foreigners and whatnot. You can pay month per month. I was running out of time, so I got a job as an English tutor, an English teacher at a English company here. But I hadn't signed my contract yet. I was just doing the training, and I got invited to a party. And at the party, it was a lot of foreigners who were into anime and stuff.
Cool.
And I was there, and I talked to one of my roommate's friends, and she said, "Hey, what do you want to do in Japan?" I said, "I really want to be a composer."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, hey, I have a friend who's a composer. Why don't you reach out to him?" It's actually one of the composers at my company where I initially was working at, where I was hired as an assistant with Elements Garden.
Yeah, right.
And through that connection, I had several different interviews and several different challenges about well, okay, let's see how your music is, or can you do this and do this, and so lots of different kinds of little tests. A lot of ear minikopi. So you listen to their song, okay, now totally resequence the whole song, but make it better and tell me why you changed it. It's like an orchestral song, and I resequenced the whole thing, and then I wrote my notes about why I changed this because this, or I changed this because this, and that's kind of how I went about it.
It wasn't in a maid cafe somewhere.
No, unfortunately not. One reason why I also pursued anime music is I can have fun. I could do all kinds of different things without being restricted to. They want you to not stand out too much a lot of times, especially in contemporary film scoring. There's a few scores, of course, where it's the exception to what I would imagine the rule might be these days. A lot of times they seem to want a little bit more of a out of the way approach.
Understated.
Which is, it's nice when you watch it. It sounds great, but from a composer standpoint, I want to have fun, do something a little wild, sometimes.
Yeah.
So luckily in Japan, there's a lot of those kinds of opportunities to just kind of go out there, and a lot of times they are really appreciative of it too, and they welcome it. So
totally.
Well, we started with the TV series, and before I actually was hired onto the job, I had to do a demo first. Ended up being the theme of Violet Evergarden is the name of the song, one with the typewriter, and so the typewriter's been used as an instrument in the past in an orchestral setting, so I thought that's a pretty good idea. Let me steal it. No, it is what it is. It's just another instrument. Totally. And so it matches the setting of the show. I actually used the sound of a quill in that song as well too. The way anime is scored in Japan is you have a meeting with the main staff, the director, the producers, and sound director. So he's the one who makes the menu for what songs he wants you to write. For Violet Evergarden's TV series, I got the menu, and it was one of the most confusing menus I've ever had. A lot of times they have a pretty straightforward thing. It'll be like Nichijo 1, Nichijo 2. So the kind of everyday life 1, everyday life 2. Maybe it'll be like Battle 1, Battle 1, Battle 2. That kind of setting where the title is super clear about what kind of direction they're going for. But for the Violet Evergarden movie, the sound director, I think his intention was to make me think like deeper about the music, which I actually really prefer to do. And so the menu I got, it was very abstract kinds of titles. It was like Existence as Existence, or like kind of really weird things like that. Like, wow, what does that mean, So I had to look at these kind of hard to understand titles and see, okay, well, here's my interpretation of what that means. And I don't think he particularly was expecting a specific direction or not. He's probably just wants me to think deeply about it and write nice music or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, at that time, I know the story. I know what's going to happen in the story because I have the script.
Okay.
And so I can't. There's no chance of me getting way off.
Sure.
For the film, it's all scored to picture, which means I get a version of the film. It's all still black and white. There's no color. Violet Evergarden's animation was actually pretty smoothly done at the time. That times it can be real rough, like the characters might just be like circles with the dots for eyes and a little smiley face or something like that. But for the Violet Evergarden film, it was done enough that I could clearly see what was happening on the screen. Generally, the standard is to have the recordings done for the voice actors and voice actresses, because if there's no dialogue in it, I have to reference the script, of course, but it's hard to write music without the dialogue if I'm writing to that particular scene, because I want to hear, oh, they say this word, okay, now the music reacts to it, or the music anticipates it, or something like that. So it's better to have it there. I've had situations where I ask the sound director, if there's no dialogue yet, to just record part of the film with him or the staff or whatever, and they'll give me a rough one with their voices on it, just so I know the timings. Yeah. That always helps too, but for Violet Evergarden, it was all recorded and all ready for me to score. When I was writing the music, I kind of wanted a woodwind-centric kind of score. Strings and woodwinds. Of course, there's brass and other stuff as well too, but I think for melodies, I'm using a lot of woodwinds, and the reason why I do that is because woodwinds have more of a feminine feel to them, a softer, gentler tone. Sure. And to represent the story of Violet Evergarden. And I kind of wanted that soft, feminine tone to it, as well as I think also woodwinds are a good representation of kind of innocence and not naivety, but kind of like a pureness. And for her having in the story being like basically a war orphan, I don't know if you can say that, but I mean, she doesn't know where she came from necessarily. Right. But she didn't grow up normally, and she doesn't function normally in society. Generally, when I'm writing, I think this instrument sounds best for this type of melody. And so if it's an oboe, I think, well, the oboe has that nice kind of piercing tone, especially when they got a nice vibrato on it too. Kind of like, that's really nice. Yeah, totally. It's a bit more of a focused sound than, let's say, like a flute or a clarinet.
I hope you enjoyed these little bits of my interview with Evan Call. On his Twitter, he likes to make posts giving background on the music from each episode of the shows he's working on. Whether they're about specific musical moments in a show, performers, or other behind-the-scenes details, the posts are quite informative, and I encourage those interested to go have a look. Patrons on my Patreon who want to see our full unedited conversation, please look out for a video link there. If you haven't heard yet, I also released my first online course with Ryan Leach on Master the Score. It's specifically about the principles that go into writing music for anime, as well as JRPGs, so if you have dreams of doing that one day, please check it out in the link in the description. It's not part of any Black Friday sale, but you can still get $30 off through the end of November. And until next time,
Jane!
Jane.